And we're back in the Sports Blitz. Here is your host, Mark Freeman.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Cogswell Motors Studios on a Wednesday. Mark Freeman, Maddie Laster, not Weldon Braxton. David Brown here in the studio. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. Once again, lots of football, lots of off-the-field football, and we will talk Arkansas Razorbacks against Northern Illinois. Won 17 consecutive road games. I think on Friday I'm going to find a little bit more research on Northern Illinois, find a little bit more about them to share with you guys on Friday, because I think this is an important game. It's a bigger game than a lot of people are giving credit for. They're just thinking Arkansas is going to roll over them. They're a 15-point favorite. When 17 road wins in a row, it's not by accident. Now, Northern Illinois has played a bunch of teams that aren't very good. And Arkansas, I assumed, without looking, that Arkansas would have been in the top 5 teams that they played in the past 3 years. And that we'll see. We'll see. They're going to be playing in Fayetteville. I don't know that they've played in 5 tougher environments either. I don't know. And I don't know how the environment's going. Maddie's going to be there, so he's going to be really loud.
Yes, that's the thing.
Maddie's bringing his noisemaker.
A few more decibels.
Yeah. Are you gonna make it like the 12th man Seattle style?
I always do scream, and I don't do it. I don't go into the game.
Give us a test. Like turn your head and scream like you would at the game.
I can't do it because everyone would die. But when I go to the games, I don't think I'm going to be really loud today. I just get that way. Like I scream at home a little bit, but like at the game, it's just natural. Like oh my god, you just get loud.
Oh my gosh, come on. That sounds about right.
That's my war cry. Oh, my God, come on.
That sounds about right. We'll also look at high school football. If you missed Monday's show, you can find our archives at rivervalleyleader.com under the sports tab there. You can go to facebook.com/sportsblitz. You can find me on Twitter at realmarkfreeman. You can yell at me in any one of those mediums. Email me, mark@rivervalleyleader.com. Call the show today, 968-NEWS. It's 968-6397. We hope to hear from some of you today. Got a little bit of open time today. I want to look at what Arkansas is going to have to do to win the game against Northern Illinois. I know a lot of people are expecting the Hogs to win, but they're not just going to be able to roll the ball out there nickel style and win the game. They're going to have to play well. They're going to have to execute, and they're going to have to beat a team that's a quality team. 3-0, already beat a Big Ten team, which, Arkansas beat Nicholls State, so what's the difference? Yeah, Nicholls State. I made mention the other day that they lost to Henderson State also. Henderson State's really good in the GAC, but a Division I team goes and loses to Henderson, a D2 team. The coach resigned immediately after.
Ouch.
Yeah. I think and I don't mean to make light, but he made
those kindergartners play dirty, man.
He made comments about how he was resigning because of health issues. Apparently, coaching this team is bad for his health. They're awful. So, and they're going to be a punching bag this year. So, at least they're making some money on the trip to, play Arkansas. I don't know who else they play, but also interesting news just coming across the wire right now. The NFL and its players have okayed the new PED policy, performance-enhancing drug policy, the drug testing, HGH testing. For the first time, the NFL will be testing for HGH, and it will be against their rules. And up to now, it's just kind of been looked the other way. And they had some issues with their drug policy, I'd say. Wes Welker, Orlando Scandrick, both guys who are going to be reinstated immediately under the new policy, were suspended under the performance-enhancing drugs, portion of their drug policy for recreational drugs. It wasn't anything that would help them in their performance, but it's something stupid that they did that could have got them arrested, that type of thing. It was amphetamines. It was Molly. That's what they're calling it. What the kids are calling it.
It's kind of like a speed type thing, right?
Yeah. Apparently, Wes Welker allegedly did this at the Kentucky Derby, and you see him win and start handing out hundreds. But under the new policy, they would be in a different category. It would be the substance abuse rather than performance-enhancing drug, which makes more sense. And the NFL players sort of gave a concession that we'll get we'll let you test for HGH, and we'll submit to that, and the punishments there that will come from that, which, like I said, the entire Seattle Seahawks team probably going to be suspended in short order. But you also don't have to worry about being suspended for first offense with marijuana or something that, it's stupid, but it's not a performance enhancer. It's probably the opposite. So they'll look into that, and I think that's a good move, and that's a good look for the NFL, which hasn't had many good looks in the last few weeks. I want to rant today. I don't do this very often where I just spend 5 to 10 minutes just ranting on something, but I want to rant today for a minute about money. I'm hoping Maddie can find the songs I'm looking for coming in from the third segment, because that's what I want to do. That the second segment I want to spend talking about this whole Adrian Peterson situation in the NFL and where they are. But the third segment, I want to rant for a minute, and then we'll get to the Hogs. But let's start real quickly with local sports. We've got high school football going on this weekend, and man, the game of the week, Pottsville, Russellville here at Cyclone Stadium, and wouldn't you know it, a close proximity to one another, a 6A school versus a 4A school, and there's some noise being talked. I made mention of this on Twitter last night, how when I was in high school, FearlessFriday.com was just coming into existence. Don't even really remember how I heard about it. I guess it was just word of mouth. I heard about the website. It's a message board. It was message boards were, I guess, a newish type thing then, and you'd get on there and you'd find your classification. You'd talk about how awesome your school was and how everybody else sucked, and that was what you do. And I remember getting on there in 2003, I guess it would have been late 2002, and talked a bunch of trash about how Clarksville was going to beat so-and-so in football. Unfortunately for me, the week that I did that, Clarksville was found to be using like 15 ineligible players and had to forfeit every game for the entire year. Didn't even get to play that next game. So I was talking all this trash.
What was the deal with that? Why were they ineligible?
They were playing. I mean, these players were clearly ineligible for for bad grades, and they were playing them anyway. Okay. I won't tell you whose fault that was, but it was done on purpose too. And it wasn't the coaches necessarily their decision.
I think we all know what you're getting at.
Yeah,
it was you.
Yeah, it was me. I said, "You play those guys. You play those guys."
And they listened to Mark Freeman, like everyone.
They beat. It was bad because they beat a 1 seed in the first round, and they may have been a 3 seed beat a 2 seed, something like that. But they move on to the next round, and they were going to play Warren. And Warren back then, it was before the Childs and Jarius Wright and those guys, but it was trying to remember his name. Oh, there was Brett Smith, he went to Tennessee. Dude was bad. And Warren's been good for a decade plus, but they were bad back then. And everybody was talking about how Warren was going to win this game, and I had a game plan in my mind. Little junior in high school me had a game plan in my mind how Clarksville was going to win that game. They were going to ride Ray Wright out and his 220-pound running back self, and they were just going to pound it down Warren's throat, and they were going to win the game. Long story short, they didn't get to play the game. So we talked a whole bunch of trash on Fearless, and now I'm sure people do more. Now it's more dads and uncles and grandpas talking trash to each other on Fearless. It's kind of gotten sad. You've heard my rant on message board guy once before. Got me in a little bit of hot water across the state, which was fun, but I was right. So sometimes I'm not, and we'll talk about that too. Here.
When?
You might find one here in a little bit. We'll talk about it. But message board drama and trash talk has sort of given way to social media drama and trash talk, Instagram, more Twitter than anything, though. I was watching last night across the Twitter wire, and I follow some kids from a couple of these schools. It's sort of a you follow me, I follow you back type thing. I see that they followed me, so I followed them. And until they do something stupid and, they tweet a bunch of dumb stuff, I'll follow them. And I saw a couple tweets last night where it's just like, man, these Pottsville and Russellville players are talking some real noise to one another about this game. So you're going to see, I'm sure you're going to see some pads popping. You're going to see Pottsville, who runs what's called the dead tee offense. It's a running offense. We're going to run it 85% of the time, and good luck stopping it type thing. And Russellville They have skill position players that they can air it out and they can throw it straight sideways and let these guys just make moves. And they got a running back, Kentrell Scott, who's really, really good. Had over 100 yards last Friday night. So it's a contrast of styles, and it's a contrast. And even though Russellville and Pottsville are separated by just a few miles, I don't even know how far apart the schools are in proximity. It's less than 10 miles between the two schools. It's a culture difference between the two schools. Pottsville is considered more of a rural, agricultural type. They're getting made fun of for boots and cowboy hats and type stuff. And then the Russellville kids are the city boys and the city folk, and they're talking about one another. And it's just, I don't know. It seems like it's all in fun. A lot of these kids know each other, but it's getting to the edge, I think. And I'm getting a little prudish in my old age, but we'll see how that takes. How that has an effect on the game. I don't think the coaches care one bit.
No.
But it's going to be a fun game Friday night in Cyclone Stadium, and you'll be interested to watch it. Like I've said for the past few weeks, if you can't go to your team's game, say your team's playing on the road someplace, let's say you're a Hector fan and you don't want to drive to Hartford, come watch this game. Come to Cyclone Stadium, watch this game. If you're a Danville fan, you don't want to go to Bigelow, or if you're a Atkins fan and you don't want to drive to Plainview and watch the Red Devils play against Two Rivers, come to Russellville and watch the Cyclones and the Pottsville Apaches Friday night. It's going to be a good game. Like I said, Atkins at Two Rivers. Clarksville hosts Dardanelle. Man, that's going to be a tough one. Dardanelle, really good. So I can say that. I'm a former Panther, so I have to.
Why do you keep saying former?
Well, I mean, I don't go to school there anymore, so I'm former,
That's right.
but
Are you still a fan?
I can't really be a fan so much.
It's
but,
like once a Marine, always a Marine. Once a Panther, always a Panther.
I mean, yeah, I'm a Panther. I'm proud, but
I'm still
I can't
a
really
fan.
root. Since I cover Dardanelle and Clarksville, them playing one another, I can't really go.
You
And
can be fair without being impartial.
I'll be honest. The Clarksville Lamar game, I wasn't going to cover it. I didn't take pictures or do anything really other than update scores. So I was wearing my Clarksville shirt. That's fine with me. I don't have an issue. If I were to go to a Lamar game and they're playing Charleston, guess who I'm rooting for? So I'm rooting for Lamar. So it's not. It's just I like the local team. So I guess I can say I'm a Panther.
That's right.
I'm a Panther for life. Danville at Bigelow. Dover hosts Mayflower. Hector at Hartford. Lamar hosts Perryville. Pottsville at Russellville. Two Rivers hosting Atkins, and Western Yale County hosting Subiaco Academy. So there's going to be some good high school football this Friday night. I hope the weather will hold up. Man, it looks like it's in the 70s. Next week,
Football.
it's going to be in the. It really does feel like football weather outside. And you can go outside, you can taste it. You can smell it. You can feel it. It's just all your senses. I love it. Love football season. Love it. All right, let's take our first break early because I don't really want to hit any of this other stuff right now. I want to talk some off the field news in the NFL. I want to talk a little college football. Jameis Winston, just dude doesn't get it. He doesn't get it, and he's going to have to be punished. We'll see how that turns out for Florida State. Yeah, and that punishment will lead us perfectly segueing into Adrian Peterson talk. The Minnesota Vikings have deactivated him. Basically, they've said you have to stay away from our facilities until your situation is taken care of. So that's going to be a really interesting topic of conversation. Matty does. He's got some, I don't know what they are, but he's got some things to add. Maybe there'll be expletives. I can barely get that word out. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this break.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 Today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on. KRK4 Today.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Breaking news across the Twitter wire at the hour. Jameis Winston suspended for a half for something he did yesterday, which I think it was stupid, and he's just the kid. Like I said, he doesn't get it. He's been accused of rape. He's been caught on camera stealing from the grocery store, which, yeah, he's that guy, crab leg guy, lobster tail, whatever it was.
Either one sounds painful.
Yeah. This time, yesterday, apparently, and I don't know the story. I don't know if there was a dare. I don't know if he just did it because he's an idiot. But in the campus court, sort of in front of a bunch of people in a large crowded setting, he stands on a table. He's Jameis Winston, Heisman Trophy winning, national championship winning quarterback. Everybody in the world knows who he is. Stands on top of a table and yells a phrase filled with obscenities. Stupid. I won't say what he said. It is ignorant and it doesn't really make any sense. It's just a bunch of words. I don't know why he did it. And I was listening to the radio on the way over here, and there were folks talking about how when Jameis Winston gets up in front of a camera, a lot of times he just the way he talks, he doesn't talk like he gets it. He's giving a speech for the Heisman Trophy, and that somebody said sounds like he's just talking to his boys. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand how to be professional, how to be an adult. He's 21 years old. It's time to stop calling the kid a kid. Yeah. He's a grown man at 21 years old. Yeah, I did some stupid things. I did some stupid things last week, but now I'm eligible to be punished for those actions, and I'm being held to a standard. You're a Heisman Trophy winner. You're the face, love it or hate it, of Florida State and college football in general as the Heisman Trophy winner returning, and you're doing this. Like, what are you? He's not thinking. That's the problem. He's just not thinking. Half a game suspension against Clemson. That's what he gets. He can get a suspension for a half a game for that, and a pattern of behavior, and other people are being let go from their teams. Other people are being suspended indefinitely for one thing. It's kind of rough, man.
Don't you think it's kind of apples and oranges?
Well, no, I'm not talking about any specific thing. I'm not talking about anything specific like certain players, but it's just he's proven that this pattern of behavior, that's him. You're going to have to sit him down and say, and apparently Jimbo Fisher said something about how they're going to let him, they're going to take care of it internally, and they're going to get him to psychiatric help of some sort. Yeah, I'm telling you. Just read what he said. You can Google it. I ain't going to talk about it. But
I think we're a little heavy on the psychobabble. I'll just say that right up front. I mean, the answer to everything is not therapy. Frankly, I think this guy needs a coach or father figure if he doesn't have a father in his life, to put the fear of God in him and explain to him, you do not behave in this fashion, period. Not just because you represent our football team, but you represent our family or whomever, and people are looking up to you. So let's rise to a higher standard. This thing where this perpetual childhood of the American male is utterly ridiculous. And it's especially the case for athletes. Unfortunately, they just get away with stuff, and they learn by experience that they can. So in my opinion, there's a little bit of an epidemic. Now, that being said, I would have to add that there is no comparison between cursing on top of a table and knocking your fiance out.
No. Yeah. No, I'm not talking about him specifically. I'm talking about like I'm gonna rant here in a little bit, and I'll make points about what I'm talking about. Like there's now. Let's just do it. I'll rant right now.
Rant time.
Everything these days is about money. It's all about the money. It's all about the Benjamins. I was hoping for the song. I was hoping play it if you got it. Everything now boils down to the dollar. How much money can you make me? How much money do I stand to lose if you're not here? If you're not playing? Jameis Winston, they're not going to sit him for more than a half because guess what? Nobody will watch the game. They'll lose money. Yeah. Florida State, they're not going to sit Jameis Winston because they could lose, and then that coach who makes millions of dollars doesn't have a job anymore. They're not going to not play him. Ohio State, a few years back, they've got 5 great players that Tattoo-gate, as they call it. They got these free tattoos. They were told they were going to be suspended. Tell me how much sense this makes, David, who you don't follow sports and you probably hadn't heard much about this.
Yes, I am an objective observer.
Ohio State, they had a couple players who got free tattoos, an illegal benefit, found out about it. There's proof. This happened. And they say, all right, you're going into the Sugar Bowl, and this is what's going to happen. We're going to suspend you after the Sugar Bowl. You're going to be suspended the first 5 games of next year. We're going to make you sign this piece of paper saying you're going to come back and serve your suspension. Guess how many of those players came back and served that suspension?
Right. 0.
They let them play in the Sugar Bowl.
Right.
So why?
Yeah.
Because
they
didn't want money. They didn't want Ohio State to lose to Arkansas.
Right. And
in
what
that
then
Sugar
is the
Bowl,
lesson that the students
and nobody
learn?
watch it.
What do they learn from that?
They learn that everything is about money.
Yeah,
if you can make people money, they're going to let you get away with whatever you want to get away with. And when money starts pressuring things, then it goes the opposite way. Looking at the Adrian Peterson situation, he's been accused, and there are pictures of this whipping that he gave his son, where there were marks, and Minnesota comes out and says, okay, they deactivated him for a week. They decide they're going to activate him. They make this statement about how they feel like Adrian Peterson, and he was contrite. He said, I didn't mean to hurt my son. I don't believe he did mean to hurt his son. Well, then somebody else comes out, another parent, and this is, I'll get into this here in a minute, but another child of Adrian Peterson's, their parents said, he's done the same thing to my kid, his other son, and basically piles on. And the NFL feels pressure from Radisson Hotels, from Nike, from all these people who have
money
that they're putting in. Anheuser-Busch, we're just not we're not comfortable with what the NFL has done here, and your commercials are marketed to kids. Oh, we got these cute horses riding around. We want to get you hooked on Anheuser-Busch as quickly as we can, high school if we possibly can.
Right.
Don't lie. So we're just so offended by this. We don't know if we're going to give you our money anymore. So now the Minnesota Vikings and the NFL have to say, all right, AP, no such thing as due process now. We're going to just send you away.
Right.
I've asked today's CrossFit Russellville poll question, would you have Adrian Peterson on your team? I've gotten 2 answers back so far. Both of them say yes.
Right.
I would have Adrian Peterson on my team. He doesn't get the benefit of, okay, let's go through due process. Let's find out. And please don't take this as a blanket, okay, Adrian Peterson, you do whatever you want to do, because if it comes to fruition, if it comes to light that this is a pattern of behavior where he's just constantly beating children, and it's not discipline, that's a different story. If he's a father who's disciplining children, that's a different story. There are two separate things here. One thing I do want to point out with Adrian Peterson, to be fair, Antonio Cromartie, Dwight Howard, Adrian Peterson. It seems that these guys are popping out kids left and right. They're having kids with all these different women. They're not really fathering anyone. Their dad,
they're siring children.
That's what I called it this morning.
Yeah,
they're siring children, but they're not fathering children. You don't have the right to discipline a child if you're not going to be that child's father. If you're just showing up and whipping a child whenever you feel like it, that's just not fair to the child at all. So I do want to point that out. But if Adrian is the father of this child, he's the dad, he's there, he lives and disciplines this child as through the course of this child's life, he has the right to discipline his child. I don't want him to beat a child and hurt him. And obviously, if his statement's to be believed in the first place, he didn't mean to hurt that first child. If this comes out, like I said, that there's a pattern and there's 4 or 5 other kids that he's just brutally beaten, that's a completely different story. And I'm not saying that I'm not throwing a blanket over it and saying it's okay, Adrian, you can beat your children. I'm not saying that at all. But I hate how money now has become the only factor that matters.
Right. And I would hasten to add,
the law doesn't matter as much anymore because you don't even get to go through the process.
It's form over substance, too. It's the appearance. The advertisers are worried about the appearance of being in league with someone who would beat a child. But the important thing, as you said, is did he, in fact, abuse his child, or did he simply discipline him? And that's something that we need to find out before acting on. I mean, that's how it works. You're innocent until proven guilty. And so don't you think there needs to be an outcome before there's an action? And I can think of several incidents that have occurred even recently that have risen to the level of national media attention where people are up in arms and demanding people's heads before they know what actually happened.
Yeah.
So I think we have a case like that here. And obviously the NFL wants to do the right thing and enforce the right kind of policies. But you're exactly right. I mean, it's clear that it's just the tale of the great big old green dollar.
I don't think that it's right, like I said, for people to beat kids. And this may be the smoking gun, the Ray Rice video. This picture may be of the child, may be the NFL smoking. It may be what they're using to say, all right, but they already deactivated him and then put him back in, and the NFL had said, so it's just like they're going back on what they said originally because of money pressure.
Sure.
And that just doesn't sit well with me. You got guys like Cam Newton who, he allegedly took bids, highest bid. Mississippi State give you $180,000. Auburn said $200,000. Okay, well I'll go to Auburn, allegedly, and they don't do anything with it. The whole year he's at Auburn, they continue to win, and by the end of it, there's no way they're sitting Cam Newton. There's no way he's going to put them in the national championship game, win a national championship, put a whole bunch of eyeballs on that product, make a whole bunch of money, win the Heisman. There's no way they're sitting him out. It's money. It's all about money, and that's all that matters anymore. It's sad. Old school baller, what's going on?
Oh, nothing. Just kind of stay under the radar, off the grid. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I understand.
You boys down there still sipping that Bielema Kool-Aid pretty heavy?
Well, I mean, I'm excited about what I saw last week, and I think they're going to win this week.
Why?
Because they went on the road and they won a game. That's all that matters to me. It wouldn't have mattered if they played the Sisters for the Poor.
How hard was that to do against that team?
I don't think Texas Tech was great, but they went on the road and won. This week will be a bigger test, and really, and like we said,
was that win a result of us playing pretty good, or just poor tackling by Texas Tech?
A little bit of both. I think we played pretty well, especially on the offensive side of the ball. The offensive line and the running backs, they imposed their will. I don't know that had as much to do with tackling. Maybe the long runs, the 20-plus yard runs, but they were getting 7 yards a pop because the offensive line was just mowing folks over. So I think that Arkansas would have won by 2 touchdowns instead of, 4? Was it 49-21? 28. 49-28? Is that the right score? Yeah, they won by 3 touchdowns. I think they'd have won maybe by 2 touchdowns instead of 3 if it weren't for the long run. But, I mean, I'm excited about the fact that they were able to run the ball. We'll see this week against Northern Illinois. They've won 17 straight road games.
Northern Illinois has?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty salty. They're solid. They'll be the best team we've played this year other than Auburn, no doubt about it so far. But I still don't think they're SEC.
Oh no. What can Bielema do?
Find out just what we got pretty quick.
Oh yeah. Well, I got a question for you then. What can Arkansas do? What can Bielema do to convince you?
I just don't think he can win running the ball 99% of the time. I mean, we're going to come up against some quality defensive lines and defensive backs and linebackers that can kind of turn that situation around. And when we have to throw, I'm not down on our quarterback. I think he's adequate. I'm not saying he's great, but I think he's adequate. But we don't have any receivers. Our best receivers are our tight ends, and I just don't think you can do that against teams with less talent. But now we're talking SEC football. SEC West football is what we're talking about. I mean, anybody's will have a hard time winning in that part of the league, don't you think?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. So my question then is, what first?
Throw the football, spread it out, make the defense guess more. That's what I'm saying.
That's your guess. So okay, if Arkansas, would you be okay if Arkansas beat Texas A&M?
Do what now?
Would you be happier with Bielema if Arkansas beat Texas A&M?
I just want to see an SEC win.
That's reasonable. Hey,
I mean, that's not asking too much, is it?
No, heck no. They got to win at least 2 games in the SEC to have that 6-win bowl game type season that a lot of folks were talking about. Like I said, old school ball, I said 5 wins. How many wins did you say coming into the year?
About 4. Not any better than last year.
So you just thought they'd win the non-conference games?
Pretty much, yeah. And that's pretty well I'm still standing on those premises.
Okay. Well,
hey, I got one other question for you. I'm not too much involved in this NFL. I mean, discipline and child beating is 2 different things. And before I can make a comment on it, I'd like to know, for sure exactly what happened. But here's another question I got for you. Pottsville and Russellville. What if? What if? Can you answer that question for me?
What if what?
What if Pottsville happens to win?
Let me put it this way. If I were making odds on this game, I wouldn't put it at more than a 3-point to 7-point Russellville advantage. I wouldn't be too surprised if Pottsville was able to win. I do think that the depth and the size and the speed of Russellville is going to give them trouble. But if they win that game, it won't be too much of a surprise to me. It'll be a shock to some Russellville people, but I don't think it'll be too terribly much of a surprise. Man, I wonder what that would do. I know from following Twitter and those types of things that there would be a whole lot of trash talked, but I don't think it would be too huge of a surprise. Now, I suspect that Russellville will win, but I think it'll be pretty close.
Were you surprised in Darnell beating Boonville?
I wasn't surprised. No, I wasn't able to go. It was raining, and I just decided I would rather not be out there and catch a cold and give it to my boy. But hey, I thought Dardanelle could win the game. I didn't know they'd win it 28-0. That was a huge surprise.
Absolutely, Dardanelle apparently is for real.
Oh yeah, they're gonna make a run in 4A.
Well, okay, listen, Mark, I'll let you go. Just kind of stir the pot a little bit. Didn't mean anything. Don't take anything serious. I just like to hear the other side.
You're all right. I appreciate your time, man. Take it easy.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
All right, we got to hit a break. I know my position on the Adrian Peterson stuff is not all that popular, but I do think that money is just the absolute bottom line in this stuff. It's less and less about right and wrong. And I'm not saying the NFL's trying to get it wrong, but they're jumping real quickly to things because of money. I hope and I pray that Adrian Peterson is not just beating his kids and that he's not, that it's not a pattern of terrible behavior. But I like I said, if he's not present in these kids' lives, I don't know Adrian Peterson. I'm not there, but if he's not present in these kids' lives, he doesn't have the right. Antonio Cromartie has 9 kids from like 8 different women. Doesn't even know all their kids' names. He had to figure out some way to try to remember. I saw him on camera. They asked him his kids, and he was just like, I got and he named off. He got to like 6 or 7. Couldn't think of the other two's names.
Right.
That guy has no business disciplining those kids
You
at
wouldn't
all.
hire him as a babysitter.
Absolutely not.
Right.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't
It's a
want him to have
shame,
anything
but
to do with my kids, and there
that's
ain't
right.
no way he's spanking my kid.
Yeah.
Me alone
Right.
will be the one who disciplines my child, but I'm there. So please take this caveat to my statements about disciplining children.
You're not saying there's no such thing as abuse either.
No.
I mean, you're not saying that you can't abuse a child when disciplining them.
And I'm not
You're
even
just,
saying-
I think, if I hear you right, saying let's wait and find out what the facts are
I'm not
before
even saying
we come to a
I'm
conclusion.
not even saying Adrian Peterson's not guilty of abuse. I'm
Right.
saying what I've seen. It's within the realm of reason that it could have been discipline and not abuse.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying.
Right.
If there's more evidence, if there comes more that he is just a serial abuser, then that's a problem.
Sure.
If he's not present in this kid's life, he has no right whatsoever to spank his kid. Then it is, I mean, to me, just some random guy. I mean, think about how that would feel.
No, I understand. In fact, abuse statistics show that it's the fathers that are estranged or stepfathers who are responsible for most of the physical abuse of children. So it may be the case, but I'm with you. I mean, the way the NFL has handled it, it's been a whole lot more like sticking your finger in the air and seeing which way the wind is blowing than holding a standard. So I'm saying, if I can get away with saying it, grow a set. Do what's right when it's popular, when it's unpopular, and why don't you hold the standard of morality rather than always catering to money and social pressure?
Maybe right, maybe wrong. We'll see how it turns out. I see Twitter here. Let's hit a break. I see Doc Harper. He writes for ArkansasFight.com. He says, seems like a 2 birds, 1 stone situation if we just let Adrian Peterson discipline Jameis Winston. Get the switch after him. All right, let's hit a break. Let's get to some happy stuff after the break. Man, been a downer for the last week. Let's laugh a little, have a little fun, loosen up. We'll be back right after the break.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. We've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on KRK4 today.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
All right, the Razorbacks are right around a 2-touchdown favorite over Northern Illinois Huskies. They're coming into Fayetteville on Saturday night, 6 o'clock. Maddie and his whole family are going to
so
be there.
excited.
Going to be pumped. Watch the Hogs take on a team with a pulse. Who'd you watch them play last time, LSU?
The last time I went to Texas A&M last year, which it rained, but that was
a good game.
Even though we lost, it was the most fun I've had out of all the games I've been to. Because it was competitive. It was Johnny Manziel. I got to see him play, that was a big thing for me because I hate him. But I thought, this is history. I'm going to be able to say in 20 years, if I ever have kids, I can say, yeah, I'll watch that guy, a Heisman winner play.
While you're at that, and you're talking about telling your kids in 20 years about watching Texas A&M play, I debated on whether or not I was going to tell people about this, but people will think we're small time for this, and people will think, but everybody has a first opportunity to do something really cool. I remember when I first started here, got to go to Mike Anderson's press conference when he was announced as Razorback head coach. Applied for credentials to Razorback games, and at the U of A, they just don't have room. They don't allow online onlys to be there because there's too many mom and pop, kids in their mom's basement blogging that, I've got a website. Well, so we've had to earn it through 3 years of time with the Razorbacks. Still don't get credentialed to go to Fayetteville. They may not have the room. I don't know. Applied for credentials to Jerry World, Arkansas, Texas A&M, and they were granted. Yeah. I'm going to be on the field in Jerry World next Saturday, watching the Hogs, taking
hamming
pictures.
It up with Bienema and Jerry Jones.
I might call a couple plays. I don't know. I'm going to be taking some photos, and I'm not even going to lie. It's exciting.
You'll suit up.
I'm nervous a little bit. It's going to be a cool opportunity. I think it's big for RVL to be able to say, we were accepted, credentialed there in Jerry World in Dallas, and why can't you credential us now to come to these games? We cover the Hogs. We talk the Hogs all the time here on the show. And the whole process that we went through, they came to look at our site and see our coverage, and they decide whether or not they allow the credentials. They thought, so to me, it's sort of a step up into a little bit more of a legitimate opportunity. We've got access everywhere else around here, and we've been able to get into other things, big time things. Arkansas Tech has been very open to us. They've allowed us press box access. They've allowed us press row access in basketball. They've given us information, let us come to press conferences and shoot video and things like that. But to step up, to go cover a Razorback game, it's going to be really cool. Getting to be there on the sideline is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. Going to Jerry World is one of those things. I went to Jerry World a couple of years ago. I'd never stepped foot in the place, but I stood outside of it, and I just thought, my gosh. I looked into a self-guided tour, just walk around, $17 per person to just walk around. Me and my wife, $35 for the two of us to walk around Jerry World. So we were just like, no, we're not going to spend that extra money. So I've wanted to go. I've wanted to watch a Cowboys game my whole life. But this is the next best thing. I'll get to go through and walk through the stadium, get to make a weekend of it, and I'm just excited about the opportunity.
And
really,
who knows?
Really happy.
Who knows?
Arkansas can win that game.
That's what I'm saying. What if you get to go to that game, standing on the sideline, and you get to see Arkansas beat Texas A&M? Now that would be a story you could tell, my friend, right there.
It's going to be pretty cool. I'm pretty excited. And like I said, somebody's going to see this, hear this, and think, oh, these guys are small time. They're celebrating this. Nobody else celebrates this. But it may be a small little internal celebration in a lot of folks, but it's there. Like, if you're a Razorback fan, if you grew up a Razorback fan and you get to start covering them for a living. I got a friend who, Jose Harbor, works for Channel 5, and he was talking about how when he got to be on the field at Razorback Stadium, and it was just really cool. I got to cover a game at Razorback Stadium. It was Clarksville-Charleston, Hooten's Kickoff Classic a few years ago, and that was cool to stand at midfield and interview the coaches and stand on the sideline and take pictures and that type of thing. That was cool, and then I got to go to, and Jose was telling me about going to Bud Walton and covering a game. And you and I went and took pictures of the game one time, but it's just not the same as being in Jerry World covering this huge game. I'm excited about it, looking forward to it. But Arkansas's got to beat Northern Illinois first. They're 3-0. I'm going to be there regardless, but I'm hoping that Arkansas will be 3-1 going into that game. Speedy Noel, the freshman 5-star wide receiver for Texas A&M, going to be out up to 6 weeks. including next
Is that Ricky
week.
Seals?
No,
not him.
No, it's
sophomore.
Speedy Noel. Yeah.
Okay, Speedy Noel. Okay.
Ricky Seals Jones he's a freak in and of
He's
himself.
sophomore though, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And they've got guys. They've got Seals Jones. They've got another guy, Everett, I think is his name.
They're gonna have guys in that
just
offense.
really, really good. But Speedy Noel's another one that's really good for Texas A&M, and he's going to be out for that game. But Arkansas's got to beat Northern Illinois first before we even get excited about that game. They lose to Northern Illinois, and that the air's let out of the balloon as far as the hype machine for Arkansas going into that game. Who knows? Arkansas got votes in the poll. The right things happen for Arkansas this week. You know, if they put a hurting on Northern Illinois and some teams at the bottom of that poll lose and some teams above them lose, I mean, it would have to be a lot. It would have to be probably 10 or 12 teams that would have to lose before Arkansas would be considered. But this might be a ranked or fringe-ranked team taking on Texas A&M next week if Arkansas is able to get it done. I believe they're going to win the game.
Unbelievable to me.
That you would go from winning no SEC games to ranked in less than a year? Yeah. That would be a pretty big deal. And I know we're drinking the
I'm going to
Kool-Aid.
get some hell for this, especially from somebody named Brad Caldwell. That to me, now this is all hypothetical, of course. That to me would be more impressive than what Malzahn did. I know that's saying a lot, but Malzahn, that team was loaded.
They were not
Arkansas
good, though.
was
that last year,
nothing.
I disagree. But that team was, I mean, they were really bad. The year before Auburn, that team, they went way downhill, and then he brought them back. I don't think they won an SEC game.
No, they didn't.
The year before. And then he took them to the national championship game. Now,
and that
I
is
think we're not quite
incredible.
there yet.
I'm just saying, and
Yeah,
I'm being a
good.
total homer saying that. I know that.
And I'm drinking the Kool-Aid to go on ahead past this game when Arkansas has to beat a team, like we said, that's 3-0 and has won 17 games on the road in a row. But I think Arkansas is going to win this game. I'll tell you how. We're going to take a break, and I'm deep teasing it, man. I told you I was going to talk about it in this segment, but got a little bit long-winded. And I'll tell you, there are a couple of different things that I think Arkansas will have an advantage in, that they're going to be able to win this game. Northern Illinois is a balanced team. They're a really good team rushing and passing, and they're going to be a problem for Arkansas. But I'll tell you how Arkansas can overcome all that and win the game right after the break.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on KRK4 today.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
All right, welcome back into the Sports Blitz final segment of a Wednesday. Looking forward to Prediction Friday here in a couple days where we give you the real nuts and bolts. This is the score.
And the Kool-Aid minute.
And we give you we've been given the Kool-Aid week now.
That's right.
I mean, we've been talking some Kool-Aid, and I don't want to really apologize for it. It's been bad.
Good.
It's been bad for so long that if I feel like rooting for the Hogs and I feel like talking about the good things, dang it, I'm going to, because last year it was every single week. Well, that sucked. Everything about that sucked. And well, let's go through the suckitude.
It was just pain.
Arkansas is in a point now where they've got a shot to win their third game in a row, and that hasn't happened in a while. So we're going to be happy about it, and we're going to choose to be positive and give positive things while that's possible. Because after this week, they got A&M, Alabama, Georgia in a row. We could be 3 weeks of negativity there. I don't know. Arkansas could surprise somebody, or they could play really well, and we have positives to draw from those games. But as of right now, I'll choose the positive.
That's right, baby.
How can Arkansas beat Northern Illinois? That's a team that is very good. They're talented. They've won. They're 3-0 this year in the MAC. They had a player on the Heisman Trophy ceremony last year, Jordan Lynch, and they're back. They've been good for the better part of the decade, and they've already beaten two teams that are in decent-ish conferences, and they're coming into Arkansas confident. They've got a quarterback who's thrown for 500 yards. They've got a running back who averages 6 yards a carry. They've got a receiver with 400 yards and 4 touchdowns already. They've got a good team. What can Arkansas do to beat them?
I'm just going to come right out there. You know, I'm a sports newbie. I'm kind of getting my feet under me as far as these sports go, but I have been observing the game and doing a little reading. And I'm just going to go ahead out there. I'm going to say score more points.
All right. Thank you for that. I'm so glad that we used that time there to say that. Okay, there are a couple things that I think Arkansas is going to have an advantage in this game, and some of them probably go without saying, but I'm going to say them anyway.
Better uniforms.
Because this is my
one.
Yeah, they do have some sweet unis.
Better mascot too. Okay, I'll let you take over the real list.
They'll be wearing the all red probably this week.
Yeah.
Maybe wear the red with the white pants.
I want the white pants. I don't like the all red look.
Matty likes the white pants.
Yeah.
He's got his white pants.
That's right. I like tight white pants.
Jimmy
and I want my football teams to wear tight white pants.
Okay. All right. So how does Arkansas win? We'll give you the score. We'll give you the players to watch. We'll give you all that on Friday. But today, I think there are 1, 2, 3, 4 things that Arkansas is going to have an advantage on against Northern Illinois. Now, on the flip side, Northern Illinois is going to have the experience. They're going to have. They're not going to be scared. They're not going to say shy away or back down. But I think Arkansas, the power that Arkansas is going to be able to run with, the power in the fact that Arkansas's offensive line. I heard before that Arkansas would have been the 5th largest NFL offensive line last year, and I heard something yesterday that said there was no starting offensive line in the NFL this past weekend that would have outweighed Arkansas's man for man in the NFL. That's mostly because the NFL is going to be a passing league. They don't care as much about just packing the pounds on and run you downhill.
Yeah,
all
when
day.
I heard that, I was like, that's by design. But
Arkansas
so is
put on the
Bielema's.
weight. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Arkansas they're not going to be outweighed by anyone. They may be out athleted in a lot of different positions by a few teams, but they're not going to be out powered as far as strength and size goes. So Northern Illinois is going to have to figure out an answer for that. They're not going to be much better than Texas Tech as far as stopping Arkansas, just pound it down your throat. Will Arkansas be able to pass the ball? That remains to be seen. And I heard Brett Bielema's press conference the other day where he said it's the best kept secret in all of Arkansas that Arkansas has a passing game. They've got wide receivers coach and offensive coaches talking about all the things that they have yet to show and the things that they've got up their sleeve. I don't think, if you've got a lot of stuff up your sleeve, I don't even think this is the week to show it anyway. If you can beat this team with the power running game, I don't care if you throw the ball 20 times this week. Throw it 15 times like you did this last week, 12, and run it down their throats and beat them. Show a little bit more, obviously. You put a little bit of hope in some of these old school ballers' mind as far as throwing the ball and give them a little bit of excitement about the passing game. But continue to do what you've got to do to win the game. And you're not going to run the ball, and win that battle over and over, score points, and then start passing the ball when the game gets out of hand. I remember Brad used to tell me stories about going to watch Hector football back in the early 2000s, and he said that they were so good at running that dead tee, that Brian Rust dead tee. The guy at Pottsville now was at Hector then. They said they were so good at running that dead tee that teams literally could not stop it. And at the end of a game, if they wanted to avoid running the score up, they'd have to start passing the ball. I don't think Arkansas is going to do that because they'll be able to pass the ball well enough that if they're running it on them and just killing them with it, you start passing the ball in college football, then you're going to hear folks, well, why are you running the score up, that type of thing. I don't even know if that's going to be the case this week. I expect Northern Illinois is going to put some points on the board and that the running up the score conversation is not going to be relevant. But I think Arkansas can take advantage of its power. I think it take advantage of its size. We talked about the girth of these offensive linemen. These are some big boys. The running backs Arkansas's got are 6'2", 210, and they're going to be nearly the size of some of these linebackers at some of these schools. So I think they're going to have an advantage with Jonathan Williams and with Alex Collins. I'd like to see Corliss Marshall play a bigger factor in this game, but he did it to himself last game. I heard people saying, well, if you're not going to get him the ball, put him on defense, let him play because it's too good of a talent to be wasting on the bench. Well, here's the problem with Corliss Marshall. He fumbled the ball twice last week. He didn't lose either one of them, but he fumbled the ball on a kickoff return. They said he was down, which he put the ball on the ground. And then the other one, he fumbled it on a run, and he got it back. May have been down on that one too. That's not the point, though. You put the ball on the ground, and we've got Alex Collins and Jonathan Williams. You're not getting carries. So I'd like to see Corliss Marshall hold on to the ball. He's electric. You saw it when he was running that one kickoff back. He only ended up at like the 25 or the 30-yard line.
He was one man away.
He was gone. He tripped over the 25, and there was nobody in front. Like, they had a wall here, and he was gone. He's electric. He's Felix Jones-esque. He's bigger and stronger than Felix, but he's the guy that, when Darren got it, you thought he's going to pound for 7 or 8 or he could go 80. Felix, every time he got it, you sort of held your breath. It was like he's about to go to the house.
If Felix hit the corner, it's like, okay, here we go.
He's about to go to the house. I think Corliss Marshall is that guy, and I want him to break a big one. I want him to break off a kickoff or to bust off a long run or to catch a pass and go 60, 70 yards for a touchdown. But he's going to have to prove that he can hold on to the ball. And it's not the offensive coach's fault. It's not Brett Bielema's fault if they don't put him in when Alex Collins is going for 200, SEC Player of the Week, by the way, Offensive Player of the Week. Or Jonathan Williams is going for 4 touchdowns. He's not putting Corliss Marshall in there.
I'll give him a pep talk when I go to the game this weekend. I'll say, Corliss, look.
I may pat him on the shoulder myself.
That's right. When you're on the sideline, you can say, Corliss, listen, man, I know you can do this. But no, seriously, I think it's just a matter of time, sooner rather than later, that we see Corliss have the type of game we've expected out of him. Like you said last week, it's just ball security. Otherwise, we would have seen him. And if he's in the game enough, you're going to see that from him. I just think he's that electric. If he's in the game for enough snaps, he's going to do something that you're going to be like, wow.
I bet he got the message last week, too, when at the end of the game, he wasn't the guy in the game. It was Cody Walker. I bet you he got a message saying, put that ball away.
That's right.
Don't run with it Matt Jones style out here. Now put that ball up Tiki Barber style. Pay attention to him. He fumbled 20-some times a year in one season in the NFL, and because he was holding the ball out here. And then the next year he came in, and that ball is right here, and he never fumbled again, really. He never had a problem fumbling again. Corliss can put it away, and he can be a problem for folks. So I've mentioned the power, the size. Corliss Marshall is a perfect segue into this speed. Jonathan Williams, 4'4". Alex Collins, 4'4". Corliss Marshall, 4'3". You got guys that they're going to have a hard time keeping up with. You've got wide receivers, and I know Keon Hatcher's really fast, but part of the problem with him is just catching the ball. He hadn't had any problem getting open. He got open against Auburn, dropped a touchdown.
He runs the ball.
Yeah, he had
catch it.
He had a
that.
wide open touchdown last week, and Brandon missed him. But Arkansas hadn't had any problem with speed so far. Now you're going to see some teams: Alabama, Texas A&M, LSU, Georgia. I think that's probably all the teams that are going to play this year that are just going to look silly fast against them. Ole Miss maybe, but they're going to have a speed advantage this week. Take advantage of that with your power and your size, and then you bust them with speed. That's going. You can see. I was not a Brett Bielema believer. You can pull up the video when Weldon mentioned him, and he was out of the blue.
Your quote was, "Oh God."
Oh God, no.
Yes.
Yeah, that was what I said because I didn't like the Brett Bielema offense. I didn't like his philosophy and his style. Didn't like watching that boring Big Ten football, and that's where a lot of people are still, and that's fine. I'm okay with you thinking that and with you believing that, and you want a different style. That's fine. That's completely fine. But I'm buying in and believing in the philosophy that I think Jim Chaney is going to be a difference from Wisconsin. Like what you got at Wisconsin and what you'll get at Arkansas when everything goes rolling like they want it to, going to be a 180 because you'll have the running game. Bielema, that's his staple. That's what he wants. He wants to pound the ball and he wants to play good defense. But Jim Chaney, he coached Drew Brees. He coached good offenses, passing offenses, and he's going to bring that. They're going to meld that together, and you're going to have a good offense. I'm seeing what I feel like I need to see. Now, this week, like I said, I'm going to have to see a better passing performance against Texas A&M. You're going to have to throw the ball because they're going to put 8-9 in the box, and those 8-9 that they put in the box are going to be better than the 8-9 that anybody else is putting in the box, except for Auburn, that you've played so far. These last 3 games, it's not going to cut it against Texas A&M. You're going to have, and I don't think their defense is great, but they're going to put athletes in there that can play. They're going to put athletes that can run, and these side speed power advantages won't be as noticeable. The fourth one, depth. I mentioned Jonathan Williams, Alex Collins, Corliss Marshall. That's 3 dudes who at running back, just that one position, who are salty. You've got the offensive line, got 2 deep at every position that can run in and they can keep guys fresh. Northern Illinois, there is no way, and I don't know the team. I don't know them very well at all. There is no way they've got 8 defensive linemen that are as good as the 8 offensive linemen Arkansas is going to put out there. There's no way that they've got enough players and enough depth to match up with the Arkansas running game alone. Now, that's not even talking about the passing game, the defensive backs to cover, and the guys to get after Brandon Allen. There's no way they've got enough depth to hang with the Arkansas offensive line and running backs. But on the flip side, like I mentioned at the very beginning, they're going to have experience. They've been there and done that. They've won all these games on the road. They've been in the BCS conversation. They've had a Heisman Trophy quarterback. They've got the national exposure. I'm sure that their guys are not going to come into Razorback Stadium and be scared. So you're going to have to do it on the field. All these advantages go away when you get punched in the mouth if you don't respond. So I'm looking forward to a good game. I'll tell you on Friday my score. I think it goes without saying that I think Arkansas is going to win the game, but I'll tell you how, why, my score, and get some predictions. Apparently we had a problem with the Ustream stream today on the app on the phone. So we'll get this stream up, or we'll get the replay up on Facebook and at rivervalleyleader.com this afternoon. So I apologize for not getting to take more calls and more opinion today. It was because folks were having trouble getting a hold of the actual stream live, but we'll have this up on replay so you can check it out and you can let us know what you think. You can always email me, mark@rivervalleyleader.com, or we're going to head out for the show, Maddie. We're done. I've ranted for an entire hour. So we'll get out of here, and we'll be back on Friday. But you can give us a call at 968-NEWS. You can email me. You can find the CrossFit Russellville poll question at facebook.com/sportsblitz. So like I said, you can follow me on Twitter at RealMarkFreeman if you ever want to be a part of the show. We've got to get out of here. We've gone over time today. We'll be back at 11 o'clock on Friday.